Good morning, blessings to all. A wonderful day in City Island, lots of birds, and they said it's going to be like a real muggy day today. I slept well last night. Um, the fact that I'm not eating a meal in the morning and a meal at night and just a meal at midday, um, I just feel terrific and I sleep well. I guess when the stomach doesn't have that food to deal with while you're sleeping, it's very healthy. Feel a lot of energy and just feel good. It's one of those things that you say, gee, duh, why are you so smart? Why don't you keep doing this? Why haven't you been doing that? You know all this stuff. Well, like most of us, we know a lot of stuff in our heads, but we do very little to manifest and implement those things that we know. So I'm drinking from a cup today, my coffee, that belongs to my friend Olga, PM, OPM. She lent it to me a long time ago and it's never gotten back to her. And as you recall, Eeyore is a character in Winnie the Pooh. I think Winnie the Pooh probably arrived in this earth somewhere. My guess is somewhere around the 1960s, because I used to read this to my kids all the time. Eeyore was an interesting character all the time. He's depressed, he's sad, he's pessimistic. He and Tigger get along because Tigger is the opposite way. Tigger is another of the characters. I think this the author is probably somebody by the name of Weiner or somewhere in the M category. Anyway, Tigger was always stuffed. He's a stuffed animal full of sawdust. So his tail is always pinned on, and he loses his tail a lot. Sounds like someone who I know who loses his tail all the time. Anyway, go visit Winnie the Pooh. There's a lot of things to learn from Tigger, including that, as I recall, his house. His house was always made out of sticks, and it was always being destroyed, and somebody was always building it. Lots of teachings in some of those stories for children, teaching for adults. I made good coffee this morning. See, a couple of things. Once I asked Bernie Glassman, I said, what are the Zen books you read nowadays? He says, I don't read Zen books. I don't read Zen books anymore. So I said, Bernie, why don't you read Zen books anymore? And now, of course, that didn't surprise me because Zenis or Zen people in that Buddhist world are not considered very intellectual or readers, or at least in some circles, that is true. Or at least that's my opinion. But anyway, and that's because they like to sit, not read, not have traditionally. Zenis have not had that much confidence in readings or anything like that. It's pretty much like, you recall Carlos Castaneda's, who wrote a lot of books in the middle 60s and 70s. Anthropologist out of California, and he writes stories about his whole adventures with Don Juan, the Mexican Yaqui Indian who was his teacher. So when Carlos wrote his first book, he took it to Don Juan. He wanted Don Juan to write something on the front page of this book. And Don Juan says, well, Carlos, You know, right? What we use paper for around here. Anyway, that was the one things about writing. So anyway, Bernie's back to Bernie's story. So he said that he was reading a lot of novels, and this is one of the guys he reads of many. And of course, if Bernie Glassman was reading these novels, why shouldn't I also read them? So I started reading Joe Nesbo, and went back to his first books because that's what Bernie suggested, so that I could then follow, because the story is about the same character, the same detective throughout all his books and his adventures. Fascinating. So if you are not familiar with Joe Nesbo, I highly recommend it. If you are, that's wonderful. And some of you who will discover this man for the first time, please let me know what you think of these novels. Went into my garage a little while ago and found this book, which I'm keeping for Melanie Chung. Melanie Chung is one of my best friends and teacher. She's a teacher. She lives in Connecticut. Melanie is all of 5 feet, barely, but a giant teacher of Chinese mother and father, born in Jamaica, in the country of Jamaica, not Jamaica in Queens, not Jamaica in New York City, Jamaica, the island of Jamaica, and she's a student of Kabbala. Very interesting book. It's this book. Whoever had it made incredible notes. Here, I have no idea who this book belonged to. It's a paperback. For the chamber of yearnings is connected to what the Kabbala calls the world of Tohu, T-O-H-U, that state of chaos which in the mystic scheme of creation precedes our world of Tikkun, T-I-K-U-N, or order. Souls which are rooted in this higher world cannot reconcile themselves to the given order and arrangement of things. They yearn for more than guardians of the establishment. Those whom Cook calls the master of proportions and good manners can endure more even than they, the souls of chaos, can handle. Rav Kook's words, though couched in Kabbalistic terminology, can bear direct quotation. The soul of Tohu, of chaos, are higher than the souls of order. They are very great. They seek much from reality, more than their vessels can endure. They seek very great illumination. Everything which is bounded, they limit it and arrange they cannot bear. They see that they are bound by laws, by limits, conditions which cannot be endlessly expanded. So they fall into sadness, despair, anger, and out of rage into evil, deliberate sin, degradation, ugliness, abominations, destructions, every kind of evil. But the essence of the force which is within them is the point of holiness. Particularly do these souls reveal themselves in an end of days kind of period, a time which precedes the remaking of a world. On the eve of redemption, chutzpah in impudence increases. A storm broods, becomes stronger. There is breath after breath, and chutzpah escalates. These fiery souls show the strength before which no barrier and no limitation can stand, and the weak of the build world, the masters of proportion and the good manners, are appalled. Who can dwell with consuming fires? Who can dwell with those who would burn up the world? But the truly powerful would know that this revelation of strength is one of the phenomena which appear for the purpose of perfecting the world in order to strengthen the power of the people, of the individual, of the world. Only at first this strength appears in the form of Tahu, but finally it will be taken from the evil ones and given to the righteous, who which the heroism of lions through a forceful and clear reason with a strong feeling in a practical, clear, and order way will reveal the true order of construction. Be well, have a wonderful day, and this was too long. Be blessed, joyous, happy, always seek to serve, to care, and to help others.